Welcome to the Age Has No Limit podcast. If you're a person who is in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, or older, who was taught to stay in your lane, or maybe you believe your age limits you from pursuing new adventures, exploring new destinations, or that business idea you've been nursing, I invite you to stay and listen to the Age Has No Limit podcast. I'm Patrice Davis, and I'm the host of the podcast. I'm a mom of three, the CEO of Grants Works Consulting, and the founder of Ready, Set, Go Consult, a consulting business accelerator. I started a consulting business at 49, traveled to multiple countries, found the courage to love again, and I'm just getting started. Each week, I highlight ways you can live on your own terms, share tips on how to start or grow a business, and I feature guests who chose to redefine their lives and live outside the box in their own way. If this sounds like something you'll enjoy, stick around for this episode. If you're listening to us on your favorite streaming platform, please download this or any of our past episodes so you can listen on the go. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. It's the Age Has No Limit podcast. We're here to show and prove that your age shouldn't prevent you from designing and living the life you want. I'm your host, Patrice Davis. Let's get started. Kathleen McLean believes she was born to live, love, and lead out loud, and she has the experience, education, recognition, and enthusiasm for life to prove it. She is a businesswoman and mom of four who has been married to her high school sweetheart for 32 years. Her company, the McLean Collective, is based in New York and partners with its clients to drive cultural transformation, build individual self-awareness through executive coaching, and she and her team inspire her clients' workforce through keynotes and facilitations. Her work has been featured in HerLife Magazine, and she herself has been recognized in Women Who Mean Business, Albany Business Review Power 50, and more. She's received multiple leadership and other awards, and she's also been designated as a leader in diversity, equity, and inclusion. She served on several boards and committees, including as an ambassador for the American Cancer Society on the Voices of Black Women campaign. Awesome work. She mentors other women, and she was also a foster parent. I don't know how she has all the time, but we're going to find out. You may not be surprised, based on everything I've just read about Kathleen, that she's also a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta. And outside of her work, she does even more. She loves to travel with her best friend. She loves to dance, exercise, journal, and meditate. In fact, she's been journaling since high school, y'all. So she's beat us with this journaling trend that's happening. She's been doing it for a long time. And she has over 200 journals to prove it. She clearly intends and has lived, loved, and led out loud with her faith in God undergirding her whole life. Join me as I get to know Kathleen, the woman, right? I'll explore what drives her, how she lives out loud in her personal life, what she believes she hasn't accomplished yet, her next adventure, and other ways she lives a no-limit life. Kathleen, welcome to the Age Has No Limit podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I love hearing about this woman that you're describing. How exciting.
She doesn't sound familiar to you?
Yes, that is me.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So let's start off by, explaining to the audience why you believe you're here to live, love, and lead out loud. And really, what was the aha moment, assuming you had one, that made this very clear to you?
I thought about that question, and I remember when I worked at the United Way, I had pivoted. I was a therapist, and then I had pivoted from a school social worker, and I was a manager at the United Way. That was a hard pivot for me. I didn't really understand a lot of different things there, and were very kind and patient. But during my time there, I was always friendly, lovable. I was born this way because I was born on Valentine's Day. So therefore, I was born on a love holiday, right? And my supervisor, when they had this going away party for me, and my supervisor called me Sunshine. Bruce, he said, "You are sunshine." And I said to him, that was a aha moment for me. He goes, I said, why did you call me that?
Mm-hmm.
He goes, Kathleen, because you were a foster mother to all of us.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
mothered all of us.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the first times where I heard someone reflect back to me what I was to
Mm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
There was another time then this was when I was 21. I was a junior in college.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Muriel, me and her are still close friends. She told me about this job working for the state, not working for the city of New York
Mm-hmm.
in human resources, and it was a summer job. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
went to the summer job. Muriel had been there the year before, and then I came the year after. Now, I had such a great time. And I was very friendly with everyone. I mean, really good time. And so Muriel still reminds me today when she was visiting, actually last weekend, how
Mm-hmm.
everyone just loved me. She goes, Kathleen, I got you the job. And when you left, I left to go to London. That was my first trip with my husband when I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
And they threw me a huge party. And so Muriel goes, I was there last year and
Mm-hmm.
no one even did anything for me.
Mm.
And but and all, she lived on she was on the first floor. I was on the second floor, the
Mm-hmm.
happening floor. But also, Muriel's more of a quiet person,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful human being. But she always jokes with me. She's like, you just have this thing, Kathleen. You have this.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes me live, love, and lead out loud is my love for humanity,
Mm-hmm.
my love for everyone to be whole. My
Mm.
love is for everyone to have what they need. And whatever I can do to make that happen, I will connect the person. I will create the opportunity. I will pray them through it so they can have it.
That's so interesting because, of course, as I prepare to meet with each guest, I like to go beyond the bio, right? I like to see what I can find out about them online, the way they interact with their audiences, the places where they've spoken, the awards that they've received. And one of the things that I definitely saw in a lot of your social media posts is your enthusiasm. And I think it just emanates from you, and that's what people are picking up on. So again, it shows up in your social media posts. It shows up how involved you are in your community. So it sounds like that is obviously your talent, your gift. Is there anything else that you think is sort of the birthplace of that, or were you, as you said, born with it?
I would say when my mother and father were born and raised in Haiti, and when I went to Haiti when I was 12 years old, I grew up
Mm-hmm.
in Brooklyn, New York, in the projects. We always had everything we needed. I did not like where we lived.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember complaining to my mother. My father was not as ambitious about working as my mother was consistently. My mother worked consistently. My father worked inconsistently. Therefore, mother didn't want to invest money and purchase a home because she knew she would have been left with it. And I think her
Mm-hmm.
assessment was accurate. And I
Mm-hmm.
did complain about it. Mommy,
Mm-hmm.
why do we have to live here? Can't we have a house like all our other friends?
Mm-hmm.
She would say, I don't have the ability to get a house because you need two incomes and I need someone who has a consistent income. So when
Mm-hmm.
I went to Haiti, I was like 12 or 13 years old. And I went with, it was my mother's best friends, Metelis and Lise. They
Mm-hmm.
lived very lush. They had a beautiful mansion in Haiti. They owned a supermarket. So we definitely, they killed goats, had
Mm-hmm.
everything we needed or wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Though one day we drove somewhere and then we had stopped because we needed a break or they needed to get something.
Mm-hmm.
And I stepped out the car, my sister stepped out the car, and there was a Haitian woman
Mm-hmm.
who came out the car bare-breasted. And she
Mm-hmm.
had a baby in one hand and she had begging for money in another hand. And she really
Sorry.
impacted me. Have any money I could give her? Obviously, on vacation. I don't have Haitian money. I'm 12 or 13 years old. And when
Mm-hmm.
I remember that woman, I fast forward to coming back home. I told my mother about that Haitian woman. And that woman was my inspiration. And I said, it's like the nameless Haitian, a bare-breasted woman inspires me to heal the world.
Absolutely.
inspired me to be a social worker,
Mhm.
inspired me for people to have what they need.
So I want to pick back up on that story because number one, I didn't know you were from Haiti. So you're a Caribbean woman like me. I'm from
Yeah,
Jamaica.
yeah.
And I also like that you brought us to a Haiti that is not often seen in the media, the Haiti where there are people that live very well, right? And so I'm glad you, as you're telling the story, helping us, not me, because I've had some opportunities to study a little about Haiti and its history and its and current events to help us reframe our vision of Haiti. So I thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Now, I read a really truncated version of all of your accomplishments and just the amazing amount of community involvement. I mean, I was reading your bio. I was like, and she won that award and that award. I was like, I don't know how she has the time. So, what do you think you haven't done yet? What is that thing that you just can't wait to really initiate? Or I don't want to use can't wait to because that kind of gives us an idea that you're impatient and you don't allow things to just flow. I don't know if that's how you operate, but I still would love to know what is that thing you haven't done yet?
Honestly, Patrice, I think the thing that I haven't done yet is my friend Andrew Robinson, who I love and a mentor, and his
Mm-hmm.
beautiful wife, Dabrina, is a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is the thing I haven't done yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I haven't done it yet. I think one of my things is I don't want to do something and not be consistent with it, like
Mm-hmm.
you are with your podcast. Kudos to you and
Thank you.
congratulations for
Mm-hmm.
continuing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You make it look easy, but I know it is not.
Yeah, thank you.
All the research you do, all the it's a whole process, and I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. And I know that my voice needs to go in the airways
Mm-hmm.
because we need a voice that still stands for truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's been some of the things happening now where a murderer is
Mm-hmm.
being seen
Mm-hmm.
and elevated as a hero.
Mm-hmm.
That is problematic.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, I believe this is the thing God has been speaking to me. I
Mm-hmm.
need her voice in the airways. And I know and believe that I am a lifestyle brand.
Absolutely. One of the things too, I think, and I think we talked about this when we first met, is that, and it could be because of the algorithm is feeding me content that I want to see, but I do see, especially the people who are in my age group. I don't want to assume your age that are creating YouTube channels and basically their first video may be our voices, our experienced voices are needed on YouTube. They have different titles, but they actually also have a lot of views because there are people in our age group and older, maybe a little bit younger, that want to hear those voices. Here's why. Again, wisdom, um, a refocus on truth telling as we were raised and many generations and maybe millennia of us have been taught. There is there needs to be a truth, and so the reason I say that is because I want to encourage you again to do it. I think one day on a Saturday afternoon or whatever day that you're, doing your downtime, I want you to get that laptop, open up your camera and start speaking, and see where it goes. Obviously, you probably won't do it that, informally, but once you start, then it becomes easier, as you know. And I don't think that with your experience and your background and all the accolades that you've won, that you'll be inconsistent. I don't think you will, because you just said that God has told you that. And if God has told you that, then you're going to want to do. Because we can't be obedient only when we want to be, right? So, so go forth and create your video. So,
Thank you, Patrice, for the encouragement.
yes, absolutely. So, what would you say that your life was like as a little girl? I mean, you just described a little bit of your time living in New York, as new immigrants. What else would you say, kind of encapsulates your life as a little girl?
Hmm. I think it was mixed.
Mm-hmm.
I was born and raised in Brooklyn. Both my parents came from Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
My father, I believe, had lots of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, he was abusive verbally and physically to myself and my sister and my mother. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would say that in my childhood, I had
Mm-hmm.
moments where I had my Aunt Janine and uh, other family that I was around, which were very positive. But I will say that in my household, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like there was a lot of fear. And so
Mm-hmm.
my mother, we didn't know when my father would be set off. And
Mm-hmm.
so, therefore, my mother and my sister and I feel like we lived on eggshells. And my mother did a lot of, she took us out a lot. Like she would take us
Yeah.
trips and she would go walking with us. She would take us to Broadway shows and just a lot of outings and things. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like outside was safer
Mm-hmm.
for us. And being inside was uncertain
Mm.
because of
And what?
the Mhm.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, because of the environment of my
Mm-hmm.
father. I seen him hit my mother a few times,
Mm-hmm.
and the way uh, I'll say Caribbean people, what they call discipline is really abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore it didn't feel like a safe environment.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, escaping to the Brady Bunch, which was my place. I loved the Brady Bunch and I wanted to create that. So my
Mm-hmm.
sister and I, we played Carolina and Vilma, where we would imagine our lives being different
Mm-hmm.
and that we would travel and we would have one child and her name was Kathy, which actually Patrice Mark made me when I was in my early 20s. He said I had to get rid of Kathy, my
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's like,
Yeah.
this dog has to go. He made
Yeah.
me get rid of it. But that was my doll that my sister and I played with. And we would always, we shared her and we'd be like, well, who's taking Kathy here and there? And so I spent time, imagining and praying
Mm-hmm.
that I would create a different life for my
Yeah.
and my children. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so thankful to the Lord
Mm-hmm.
that everything that I imagined my life would be is better than I thought it would be. That I
Yeah.
married my high school sweetheart, and
Mm-hmm.
it's even better than the Brady Bunch because we were original. We didn't
Yeah.
have, and God bless blended families
Yeah.
was not what that
Mm-hmm.
was. I didn't even see that in the Brady Bunch because I just saw love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I wanted, a
Yeah.
family where, there's safety, there's love, there's compassion. And I have become that. Mark and I are the couple that
Mm-hmm.
people love, they gravitate to. We had 18 at our house that slept over for 5 days for Thanksgiving and
Mm-hmm.
22 at the dinner table. So we
Yeah.
are a pillar in our family where everyone comes to where they feel a sense of safety,
Mm.
a sense of love. And when people come here, they don't want to leave. They feel like they
Yeah.
belong and they're so welcomed.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And it makes me wonder, and I don't know if there is a connection between what you described, the family, the home life that you described, and your initial desire to start journaling. And then and then the continuation of the journaling. By the way, journaling is a fantastic habit to start. It could be for positive reasons. It could be for poems. It could be for, prayers. But I'm wondering if in your case, the journaling was, you started that because you needed to be able to process what you were experiencing.
That's such a great question. I can't answer that
Mm-hmm.
knowing back then, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
55 now, and I
Mm-hmm.
started journaling when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I just started to. My mother, when I ask her questions, she
Mm-hmm.
said she just always sees that I had a pen in my hand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And therefore, who knows what happened? I probably started journaling before that. I probably think she threw them out and she won't
Mm-hmm.
tell me.
Yeah.
As she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find journaling to be therapeutic, and
Mm-hmm.
I tell everyone in the world to
Mm-hmm.
journal.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
also a great you could see your growth in journaling.
Mm-hmm.
I start all my journals with Dear God. You
Mm-hmm.
also could see sometimes things that you're upset about, and you look back and you're like, wow, that was so petty and so
Yeah.
petty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So journaling is an opportunity. It's like you're documenting your life. There are things, giving birth to my children, uh, I realized how I can go back. Like
Mhm.
I was reading something, could go back when Danielle was second grade and read this story to her. It brings me right back to the story. Every time
Mhm.
I gave birth to a child, every experience I had when I
Mhm.
adopted one of my children, I journaled and I could look back. And I traveled back in time to that emotion, to that feeling
Mhm.
that was happening at that moment. If
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
journal it, I can't go back 29 years. I
Mhm.
remember how I felt when I got pregnant with Danielle
Mhm.
because I journaled it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, for those of you who are listening, you'd like to learn more about Kathleen, visit the McLeancollective.com and follow her on LinkedIn by searching for the McLean Consulting Group. You can also find the McLean Collective on Facebook, where, she, or her team are very up to date on, the way that she communicates outward. And obviously there's feedback, and that's where I was able to see a lot of the enthusiasm and her passion for her clients and how much they appreciate her. So what you see is what you get. This isn't something that is manufactured. And so that's why I want to dig a little bit more and learn a little bit more about Kathleen. Are you a consultant or coach who spends too much time trying to find the right tools or the right systems for your business? If you're like I was early in my consulting business, I spent a lot of time researching which project management tool I should use, which CRM system, which website building and hosting company, which accounting software, and what other tools are best for my business. I also spent time creating email templates and even contract templates for clients and vendors. Chances are you've either done the same or you're doing the same. My name is Patrice Davis, and I'm the CEO of a consulting firm, Grantsworth. I'm also the owner of Ready, Set, Go Consult, a consulting business accelerator. I'm also the host of the Age Has No Limit podcast. I'm here to tell you about the Ultimate Consultants and Freelancers Starter Kit. The kit is a curated list of tools of the trade, templates, and other resources you'll need to run your business. It even includes the six-figure proposal template that I've used to win 5 and 6-figure engagements. There's also a fluff-free summary of what it takes to build and grow your consulting or coaching business. Here's the thing. On average, consultants, freelancers, and other independent service providers work up to 65 hours per week. I created the kit myself because I know it can help you save time. Save time from hours of research and trial and error. It's what I would have wanted when I started my consulting business in 2020. Here's another thing. You can't grow a successful consulting business when your foundation isn't stable and when your delivery and systems are chaotic and outdated. Click the link below to learn more about the starter kit or visit readysetgoconsult.com/starter kit. You'll be happy you did. As a reminder, if you're listening to us on your favorite streaming platform, download this and any of our past episodes so you can listen on the go. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Now back to the podcast. So you said you're a mom of 4, and tell me, with everything that you've done and all that you've accomplished, how you've been able to balance mommyhood with work. And do you believe in work-life balance, right? Are you a Sheryl Sandberg lean in kind of gal or not?
I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life pivot. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that it's like when you're on a seesaw,
Mm-hmm.
person at some point you can't, unless you're the same weight, you
Mm-hmm.
can't balance on the seesaw.
Yeah.
Therefore, things sometimes you have to lean in to your family, other times you have to lean into your work. It
Yeah.
really varies about what's happening. I've been very blessed, Patrice, because I have had a husband who
Mm-hmm.
has been with me, and it's not been, oh, he helps with the kids. It's been, we do the kids together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I don't know any different in
Yeah.
that, because it was so equitable in the way we did things. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it leaned more on him because of his job that he had.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel that there are things, if you have to stay up late all night, like I remember when my children were little and all four of them lived here and I was working on a grant proposal for a week. When I
Mm.
tell you it was, I did all night. It was like half all nighters. And then the night it had to be submitted, I was up literally all night, woke up and left the basement. At the time I had my office basement at 3 o'clock in the morning, came upstairs, brushed my teeth, put my clothes on, and went back. And at that time, I would literally throw food in a crock pot, and then Mark would manage everything with the kids for that whole week. I was not even, I think I saw them.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I think sometimes it's pivot. It's never because it's never, how can you balance?
yeah.
Because sometimes you have to do more in regards to work, sometimes more, it depends on your role and
Mm-hmm.
all the things that come with it. And so therefore, when people say balance, there's no such a thing.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no such a thing as balance. I mean, it it's very, it's a common word and we use it quite often, but it
Mm-hmm.
is more, for me, in my assessment, it's more of a
Mm-hmm.
pivot. And now we're empty nesters, so now we really could focus on our.
Yeah. Well, so, you told us a little bit about starting out at the United Way and then other opportunities presented themselves. When did you start your business? And what was it that made you say, you know what, I have something else to give and I can give it in another way. I don't have to be an employee. I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to start a business. What was it? And how long ago was that?
I started my business in 2006, as
Mm-hmm.
I shared with the audience. I was born and
Mm-hmm.
raised in Brooklyn, New York. Most everybody was Black and brown, and
Mm-hmm.
especially even not even American,
Mm-hmm.
mostly Korean. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even remember being around American people that much,
Yeah.
Black American people. So when
Yeah.
people talk about Jet Magazine on their nightstands or coffee stands, that wasn't my thing. Did
Yeah.
not eating baked macaroni. We ate macaroni and cheese, but Haitian style.
Yeah.
We ate, we didn't eat soul food. We grew up
Mm-hmm.
Haitian. I grew up listening to Haitian music,
Mm-hmm.
Spanish music, Jamaican music.
Mm-hmm.
Culturally, everything was Haitian. Went to Haitian weddings. And
Mm-hmm.
so for and then when I moved up here in 2006, I grew up, being that I grew up around such a uh, diverse community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not that diverse actually, but I had few white students in my classes.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved up here, everything was white, and it was
Mm-hmm.
culture shock for
Mm-hmm.
me because that was not my norm.
Mm-hmm.
So when my daughter went to school,
Mm-hmm.
one day I was a stay-at-home mom for 8 years and I worked part-time at the
Mm-hmm.
EOC.
Mm-hmm.
When I came home, I remember sitting in the living room with Christopher, who was probably 4 at the time, and then Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
She came home, she went upstairs, she went to the bathroom, she put a yellow towel on her head,
Mm-hmm.
and then she started to move the towel around. And I was like, what is happening here? Why is Danielle doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, wow, I think there's something going on with her racial identity development.
Yeah.
When I taught at the College of St. Rose, Dr. Brody gave me a book called Why Are All the Black Children Sitting Together in the Cafeteria by Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Beverly Daniel Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
That book was revolutionary and changed my life. And that's when I realized if other Black parents and other parents of color were having this issue, maybe I could start and help. And what I
Mm-hmm.
realized when Danielle put that yellow towel on her head is that she was struggling with
Mm-hmm.
racial identity development. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't know who you are, you can never become who you can become.
Yeah.
And I started to volunteer and do workshops at her school.
Mm. Yeah.
That's what brought me, my daughter Danielle, who is
Mm-hmm.
29 years old, she's the one who brought me to my work.
Yeah. That's a very touching story and interest. And I'm sure that's also a very common story for a lot of parents of especially little Black girls. Other people of color probably have a similar story or through point. I remember myself. I remember when I was a little girl growing up in Jamaica. Now I'm in Jamaica, mostly Black country, primarily, Black professionals, Black teachers. But because I was getting the magazines from the US, I remember wanting to have a straight nose. So I remember putting, a clothespin. For those of you who aren't from places where they hang clothes outside, a clothespin is basically it's a pin, right? That they use to keep the clothes on the line. So as the wind is blowing, the clothes, just kind of flap in the wind. I remember putting a clothespin on my nose because I wanted to have a straight nose. So, and I remember not liking my hair at some point when I was a little girl. So I do think it is common. I don't know how common it is. Thankfully, there are a lot of Black books by Black authors. I know when I was growing up and when I was raising my children, I was very intentional about making sure that my daughters saw themselves in their books. They had extensive library of children's books. And as they got older, I made sure that there was a mix, even of their YA young adult books. There was a mix of the authors and some of the stories. So the point I'm making is it's common. It's a sad story. And I'm glad you told it because it took me back to a memory that I'd completely, I hadn't thought about for many, many years. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the tagline, and it ties in with something you said earlier, about you want to make sure, and I don't want to misquote you. You said something about humanity, but I want to tie it to the tagline of your company, which is humanity in the workplace. Tell us why you chose that tagline and how does your company, ensure that there is humanity in the workplace?
Humanity is global, and that's why we chose it.
Mm-hmm.
There's this notion that people think that diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging and justice is a Black thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a human thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in this work, when I'm doing gap analysis, one of our services that we offer in the consulting side of our business, many times once we do a gap analysis, we talk to our leaders, do focus groups with the employees, and we do surveys.
Mm-hmm.
Sincerely and truly, most people of all people in the organization have something to say where they think it can be better.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only the Black people or the Latino people or Asian people or people who are biracial or people multicultural or people who are LGBTQIA plus or people who are neurodivergent. It's actually most people have something they think that could change or make it better for them. And so humanity is a global, so that we know that we are inclusive of all people. Because if it's better for you, it's better for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what are your thoughts then about companies that are ditching their DEI, initiatives? We've heard quite a bit recently about Walmart ditching their DEI initiatives. And initially I was like, well, that's kind of happening. But then I was like, I realized their suppliers, their ecosystem is so much larger, right? So the impact is going to be felt on a greater basis. So would love to get your thoughts about that.
I think it's very sad that they're doing that, and they can pivot it and not use, you don't have to use DEI. You can use other language. There's culture transformation, there's community engagement, employee engagement. It's really about culture and climate, how you engage in the workplace. DEI is only a component of that. We don't ever have to use it to do the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And much of it is fear-based of what they're doing. And it's almost like the companies that are ditching it, it's almost like they didn't want to do it and feel this new regime is saying, you don't have to do it, so you don't have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Therefore, they never really wanted to do it, because if they had wanted to do it, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
If it's in your values, if it's in your mission, your vision, your values, and your attitudes and behaviors, then it would just continue, because if it wasn't deeply embedded, then you would let it go.
Yeah. And, I have to tell you that I am that person that when I saw that DEI initiatives were taking a hold in different companies and in different spaces in our country, I have to tell you, and I don't know if this is good or not. I was that cynic. I was like, how long is this going to last? Because I do know that, because I understand the fear that is driving it away. And it is a fear that is, that's a part of the history of the country. But it doesn't mean that we should be hopeless. But I'm admitting to you on camera and on microphone that I really was a cynic. But having said that, I saw a lot of amazing work that was done by, DEI consultants around the country, and they did make, significant change in company cultures. So I thank you for your work in that space and for helping to convince me that, whether it was forced or authentic, people, benefited from that. So I appreciate that. So we're going to switch a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about Kathleen, the person, the woman, and some other things, some more, other things about her. So we're going to talk about your love of travel. So you traveled with your best friend. And so before we dig into where you've been, tell us about your best friend. I thought it'd be nice to kind of learn about her, assuming it's a her. Yeah.
Oh, no. So my best friend's my husband.
Oh, that's real good. Yes. Yeah.
So I call him bestie.
Yeah.
And so even when we go out, people will run into me. He's like, oh, hi. They say, hi, bestie. They don't even know that his name is Mark, because on social media, it's bestie.
Mm-hmm.
I met Mark. So it was a blind date. So Richie, which you know as Shaggy, he's Jamaican. He's a reggae artist. So he went to Erasmus, and my sister went to Erasmus, and Wayne, Mark's brother, went to Erasmus as well. And when my sister, she was friends with Richie, which Shaggy, and my sister and Richie thought Mark and I should meet. My sister said, you should meet Mark, and Richie, Shaggy, said I should meet him as well. And Mark and I met we talked on the phone for a few days. I fell in love with his British accent. He came over here when he was 18 years old. Then we went on a blind date. We were at McDonald's on Flatbush Avenue. Saw him for the first time. And we met, and we just met 16. He's 2 years older than me, and we never stopped being together since then.
Yeah, I like that story. So is that McDonald's on Flatbush Avenue on that corner? It used to be an old department store across the street or something like that. Is that?
Yeah, there's a Blimpies there.
Yeah.
It's right here at Brooklyn College.
Yeah, I think if my memory serves me correctly, because like I said, I'm Jamaican. And for those of us who came to the States, especially if you came in the 70s, late 70s, which is what I did, you were going Church Avenue, but we're all up in that area. So, so tell me about some of the destinations. Well, tell me which one's your favorite, which has been your favorite, yours and maybe his favorite destination so far.
Oh, that's such a great question. Well, he's born and raised in London, and we go to London every year. What I love about London, I feel that every time we go, there is so much to do.
Yeah.
And I've been going since I was 21 years old, and I don't even know how many times I've been there at this point.
Wow. Yeah.
But every time we go, like even last time I went, I was like, there were things I wanted to do. I didn't even get a chance to do. So when we're in London, we'll go to other countries. Like last year, went to Dublin. And then the year before that, when we were in London, we went to Amsterdam. We went to Prague. We love the Caribbean. We've been on cruises and been to several islands of the Caribbean. We've been to Mexico multiple times. We loved Hawaii when we went to Maui for our honeymoon.
Oh, I love that.
We haven't had a chance to go back though, unfortunately. We've been to Jamaica multiple times. So Paris. We've traveled many, many places.
Yeah.
Can't think of some of them right at this very second.
That's all right. It's all right.
Yeah. And we were in Tulum in April. We loved it there. Went with two of my bridesmaids. We love to travel. We love to walk. We love to work out. Like we'll go to the gym together. I have videos of me and him running on the treadmill. We love to do new adventures and experience new things together.
Awesome. Awesome. That's a great, and that's like you said, that's why your marriage is, adored and people look up to you and your bestie for, what you've built together. So I have two more
Can I just say
questions.
something, Patrice? Can I say
Sure.
something?
Sure.
So, Mark is in actually San Diego. He's
Mm-hmm.
retired. He retired 2 years ago. And so
Mm-hmm.
he went to San Diego with Christopher is starting a new position in February. So he has time. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and Sarah has a lot of vacation from her job. So they
Mm-hmm.
decided to go. And so Mark and I, we talk all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I call him. And so the kids complain to him, you talk to her too much. Like, I said, when you've been with someone for 39 years,
Yeah,
we have, then you can come for me. But
absolutely.
until you have, take a
Yes.
whole seat. Take a
Yes.
whole seat, children.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Because they're like, you talk to her too much. That's why we still love each other and like each other,
Absolutely.
because there's no such thing when you're married as talking too much.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. Yeah, I mean, I really want to explore that a little bit more, a little bit more about what you think has worked well for your marriage. But I really, really also want to learn a little bit more, two things. And I have two questions remaining. Tell me a little bit about, I think you mentioned that there is a framework that you created with, I think you said her name was Michelle Goodwine. Tell me about the framework. Is it related to your business or is there a community engagement aspect to it? I'd love to learn a little bit more about that.
Well, what we did, Michelle reached out to me and she's like, Kathleen, why don't we, work on a book together? And I said, yes, I think that's a
Mhm.
great idea. And we get on Zoom and we've been writing it together and we created a framework and
Mhm.
it's called ABCDE.
Mhm.
I've always wanted to create a framework, Patrice, and I can never find someone to do it with me. I'm do my
Mhm.
best thinking in community with
Mhm.
other
Mhm.
people. That's just
Yeah.
why I'm totally expressive in that way. And
Mhm.
so I'm so excited about it.
Mhm.
We are working on it feverishly. We met twice this week, and
Mhm.
every week our goal is to meet twice or three times if our schedule allows.
Mhm.
And sometimes
Mhm.
we meet for 30 minutes and on that we have one paragraph, we're happy with it. Then
Yeah.
we meet for 2 hours, then we'll have a whole chapter. And so
Yeah.
we're moving along, progressing nicely. It's going to be a tool that organizations can use to
Mhm.
improve their culture and
Mm.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I love that you mentioned. So one of the things I hadn't heard before, and I'm hearing you say that I think I've heard you say it like two or three times, is culture and climate. And I'm so glad that you were um, breaking that out because it to me, just hearing that, and that's not my expertise. I don't know anything about the work that you do and the approaches that you take, what are best practices. But just for me, as I guess a layperson listening, I'm thinking culture is one thing, and then climate. Climate is something that's kind of always around, which is different from weather. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I just think that's an awesome way for us to really think about, a workplace. What is the culture of the workplace? What's the climate of the workplace? And maybe I went off there on a little tangent, but I do have a question for you that I ask all of my guests. And it is, what does an age has no limit life look like to you?
That's such a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that if you have something on your heart, on
Mm-hmm.
your mind, and it's something you had on your heart and mind when you were 15 and you didn't do it, and it's 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 and 70 and 80 and 90, and you still haven't done it, that means you still have to do it.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
therefore, that's what it means to me.
Mm-hmm.
If you are breathing and you
Mm-hmm.
are alive, that means that you still have something to do,
Mm-hmm.
therefore not allowing your age to hinder you because we get
Mm-hmm.
these messages. I mean, someone said to me the other day, why don't you retire? And I'm like, wow, do I look like I'm ready to do
Mm-hmm.
that?
Mm-hmm.
And people put certain things on us and in our society based
Mm-hmm.
on our age, our race, our gender, our sexual identity. But we
Mm-hmm.
have to know what's inside of us and we have to conquer and eliminate and silence those voices and go deep within and ask God, what do you want me to do? And the voice that is inside, which is the voice of God, is greater than any voice on the outside.
Yeah.
That will tell you, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. So therefore, an ageless, limitless life is doing what's on your heart and your mind. Because if it's on your heart and your mind, you are supposed to do it and stop making excuses.
Yeah, absolutely. 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 So, Kathleen, thank you so much for taking some time to tell us a little bit about your life as a little girl, your experience in Haiti, the topless woman, who helped you understand ways that you can give to the world, the way that you've been able to do that through your business, and inspiring us to have relationships and marriages where you can actually see each other as besties and as best friends. So I've learned a lot just speaking to you. I've also learned a lot just looking at your social media posts. I was like, I want to do that. I want to model that. I want to do that with my clients. Obviously, I'm going to do it what feels comfortable to me. But it was the first time I saw that, hey, you can have a client. It doesn't have to be like this, sort of you there, I'm here kind of relationship. So thanks for modeling a behavior that I will try to replicate. So thanks again for your time. And thank you for being yet another example that age has no limit. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Age Has No Limit podcast. Except for when we take quarterly breaks, we release a new episode each week featuring people who decided to live a no-limit life, or featuring tips or lessons learned from me as I create my own no-limit life. By the way, don't forget to subscribe. I look forward to sharing our next episode with you. Just remember, age has no limit.